Hi, this is Scott Marshburn with eCabinets Tips and Tricks. The other day I had a question from a fellow eCabinets member about how to go about drawing up a one-piece flat panel MDF door, and what they were wanting was something like a shaker style type door with maybe some detail on the rails and stiles. Well, before we get started into actually doing that, let's talk about the door options that we have in eCabinets. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the door designer, the door and drawer front designer there, and when we click on select source, we've got some options here, okay, to select from: Conestoga, MDF, slab, and thermwood. Now you may be thinking, well, I want an MDF door, okay, because I want a flat panel MDF door. So if you select MDF doors, okay, I've got some MDF doors in my directory here already, but if you click on standard, then you just got an option for a standard MDF door, and basically what that is just a door, okay, MDF door. You can select the material that you want for it, so you can actually select a 3/4 inch MDF, which is what we would be using. And if I reset view, you can see that we do have an MDF door here, okay. Now there is one drawback to this. Even though we can come in here and we can select different tools for our exterior profile and our interior profile, and we can put profiles on here using the layout options, okay. We can have a square, arch, or cathedral. This is basically for raised panel effects. But what we can't do is make a flat panel door. What we need to be able to do is cut a pocket in here, and we don't have that option. If we were to put this door on our cabinet, and let me show you, you see it's got a door on here. We go back into main. Now this cabinet here that I've got in here is a standard cabinet from eCabinets library, and if you look at the face frame, you see it took on the same texture as this door. So we can come into the construction settings, and then under face frames we could set this to be on page 2 here. We can uncheck display finish common with door and click OK, and it's going to change it back to oak. But what we're trying to do here is we're trying to make a flat panel on this door. So since this is an MDF door, if I select this door and try to go into the part editor with it, it's saying it doesn't support this. It's not supported by the part editor, okay. But this door right here, this is a slab door, okay. If I hover over this, it tells you what it is. The type is a slab door. So I can actually take this into the part editor and do what I want to it, and also apply constraints to it in the Constraint Manager. And that's what we're going to be using. We're going to be using a slab door instead of a MDF door. Now, one thing about using slab doors is that you can't come in here and put your part editor cuts on it. You can't put part editor cuts on your slab door in the door designer, unlike the drawer box designer, where you could take parts from your drawer box and do part editor cuts and constrain them. You can't do that in the door designer, okay. So we can't do what we need to do to this slab door right here and then save it back in our door library. What we're going to have to do is basically go through every cabinet in our library that we want this style door on and do what I'm getting ready to show you here, okay. The first thing I want to do is get a MDF slab door on this cabinet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to adjustable features, and I'm going to do everything at one time. So I'm going to go to global item modifications, and by doing it this way, we don't have to go into the door editor, select our doors, delete them, and then go back and select our door options, and so on and so forth. We can do this all in one shot here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to come over here, assuming that we're starting over from scratch here, to our face frames, and I want to go ahead and change the display finish right here. I want to make sure common with door is unchecked, okay. Then I want to come over here to our doors, our door and drawer settings, okay. I want to change my drawer front, and I want to change my door. So change door right here, okay? And I also want to make sure that we change the purchase option, okay? So what we want to do is we want to change the default drawer, and we want to change the purchase option. We want to make sure that it is built in-house, okay? And the same way with the doors here. So the door right here, we want to change the default door. Let's go ahead and select the door, and I want to select a slab door, and I've got a directory in here, my slab doors, and I've got one that is using MDF sheet stock, and it has no edge banding, so that's unchecked, and it is built in-house, so I'm going to select OK. So let's go ahead and just select the drawer front, select source, I want slab, make sure it is slab now, my drawer fronts, and this is a slab drawer front. I'm going to click, I want to make sure that I have edge banding unchecked and built in-house. If you don't have built in-house selected, it's not going to cut it on the machine, okay? It won't bring it up on the machine. It will give you a list of the sizes though. So we got change default selected, change door grain, we got change purchase option. Okay, I'm going to click OK, and it's going to change all the doors and drawer fronts on this cabinet. And I'm going to click OK, and there they are. So what we could do now is take each one of these into the part editor. So I'm going to select my drawer front first, go into the part editor, and I'm going to use a rectangle right here, and we're going to create a geometric shape on here, and we're going to select that, and I want to select that rectangle, and I want to cut pocket using geometric shape. Now I've already got my depth set here at 3/8 of an inch, so I'm going to keep that. I want to click OK, and now I can go back in the main, keep the changes, and I can do this door here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to do a single panel, flat panel here. I'm not worried about being precise on the measurements of this pocket or where it's at on the part. We're going to take care of that in Constraint Manager. So I'm going to select my rectangle again, right click, cut pocket using geometric shape, and OK. Now this last door here, when I go back into main, grab it, we're going to put a double panel on it. And I want to show you a double panel because the constraints are a little bit different than what it is on these single panels. I'm going to take it into the part editor, and this time I'm going to put two rectangles on here. I'm going to put one here, and again I'm not worried about being precise on the placement of these rectangles or the size of them. I'm going to select each one, right click, and cut pocket using geometric shape. Click OK, go back in the main, and yes, keep the changes. Now, one thing I didn't do was I didn't put any profiles on these, and it would be quicker if you go ahead and put profiles on them as you go. So let's go ahead, and I want to show you how to put some profiles on these and how they work whenever you apply your constraints. Now you can go ahead and apply your constraints to these before you put profiles on them, then go back and put profiles on them, and they'll still resize just fine for you. But I always try to remember to go ahead and put my profiles on as I'm going. So what I'm going to do is I got my first door here. I'm going to select this icon right here, profile edge, and I'm going to select the edge of my pocket right here, and you can see it highlights this in green. Now I need to click next, and I need to find me a cutter. Okay, so I've got a custom cutter directory here, and it's called custom MDF door cutters. So what I'm looking for is a 3/16 V tool. I'm going to click on it and view it. Now the plunge is already set on this particular tool. This is how I drew it up, and the offset here is already good to go for us. So I'm gonna click OK, and you can see it put a bead around there. Now if I want one on the outside, I can do it the same way. So if I click on this side right here, click next, and hopefully this is going in the right direction here. If it's not, then we'll just have to fix it. I'm going to view and click OK, and you can see that it is not correct. So let's look at this real quick just so you can see what's going on. What we done was we selected this side here first as our starting point, and the cutter's going around this way, okay? And what it done was it cut a lip here, okay, because that's the way the cutter's designed. So let's delete that, delete profile cut there, and let's take a look at this one more time. Let's hit escape, and let's go back around this. I'm going to do this one more time so we can see what's going to happen here. If I go next and I select the same cutter, P1875 bead, and view that, you can see that right now, because we are on our center line cut, this is cutting from here over, okay? And what's going to happen is when it goes around this, just imagine that this edge of this tool is going to be right here, okay? And it's going to cut that groove all the way in there, okay? So if I go cancel here, and this time I hit escape, and I go on the opposite side over here, start over here and go next, and bring up our tool, our P1875 bead tool here, and view it. It's still positioned the same on here, but it's going around this side. So this time it's starting right here, okay? This edge right here is starting right here and going around. So if I click OK, that should do it for us. So let's take a look at it. Click on our eyeball there, and all that looks really good there. So we got that, and what you would do is go back to main, keep the changes, and then go through and do the rest of these, okay? I'm not going to go through and do all these because I want to spend more time on the constraints there. The profile part is fairly straightforward. You just have to kind of play with that area and experiment how the cutters cut based on the start point where you start your profile and all that. You know, it's just trial and error, really. Experiment with it. The more you play around with it, the more proficient you'll become. You'll understand how they react based on the offsets and what have you. Now if you guys want to see some more videos on that area of the software, just post it in the comment section below this video, and I'll come up with some videos hopefully to help you understand how that works a lot better. So what we're going to do now is go into the Constraint Manager. So I'm going to click on Constraints, and what I want to do is go ahead and get my styles here, okay? So I'm going to use horizontal, my horizontal dimension, and I need to get my left style, which is right here. Okay, so I clicked on the corner of this pocket and the corner of my door, which gives me my left style constraint, and I'm going to do the same thing with that one. So there's my styles there, and I can move these around. Just click my move tool and move them and position them where I can see them fairly easy. Kind of get them organized, if you will. And let's go ahead and get our top rail and bottom rail. So I'm going to use vertical. So I'm going to come right here. I'm going to click on this and click on the top corner. That's my top rail for that panel, and I need my top rail for this panel. And then my bottom rail for this panel, and my bottom rail for this panel. Okay, now we need to edit these. Okay, so we need to decide what the rails and styles widths are that we want. So I want to go to Edit, Constraint. I want to go ahead and use 2 1/4, so 2.25, enter. So there's that top rail. Let's go ahead and get this one, 2.25, and enter. There's that one. And I can come down here, I can get my bottom rail, 2.25 there, enter, and 2.25 and enter, and then my left and right styles. So this one, 2.25, enter, and then this one, 2.25 and enter. Okay, now if you look right here, this is our center style. What we want is we want to center this center style up on this door. Right now it's probably not centered. If it is, it's just by coincidence. So what I want to do is another horizontal constraint. We need to go ahead and get our center style width. Okay, so right here, right now it's 1.25 inches, so I'm going to go ahead and edit that. Edit constraint there. I want 2.25 and enter, and now it's obvious that they are not centered. So in order to center this up, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need a constraint from this corner of this panel here, or this pocket, all the way to this corner of the door. So I'm going to use my horizontal constraints again. I'm going to click right here on this corner and then come all the way to the outside edge of our door. And I'm just going to place that right there. Now we need to edit that. Okay, so I'm going to click on Edit Constraint again. I'm going to select this, and what this is going to be is I'm going to use this formula right here. It's going to be width divided by 2, okay, minus half of our style width here. Now I could just type in 1 1/8 inches, or I could say minus 2.25 divided by 2, and see if that works. And hit enter, and you see those move over, and we could double check that by taking our horizontal constraint tool here and pulling a constraint measurement right there, 3 1/8, and that one is 3 1/8, so that's good. So let's go ahead and delete these two because that will affect our geometry there, and we don't want to do that. What we want to do is go ahead and test this now. So I'm going to click my test button right here, and I'm going to change the width of my cabinet to something like 60, and then the height to something like 96 there. Something that will be obvious if it's not going to work. So that looks pretty good. So I'm going to close that, and what we would do next is go into door 2 and do the same thing. So go ahead and take care of that real quick. Horizontal here. Now notice that you've got a blue line here now because we've got a profile on there. That's letting us know that we got a profile cut on here. And maybe later on in a later video we'll be talking about how to use some features on that, but right now we're just going to go ahead and get our constraints set. So we got our horizontal. Let's go ahead and get our vertical here. Got you, and we need you right there. Okay, and then we're going to edit these. Edit constraint. Select you, 2.25, and then 2.25 and 2.25 and 2.25. Okay, so we got all those. Now let's go to our door front. So what we want to do now is go ahead and get our same constraints on here. Horizontal, or styles there, and then our rails, vertical. That's the only one we need there, and we can get this one right here. And we can edit those. 1.5 inches. Now that's a coincidence right there. That's what I want it to be. Usually, typically on door fronts, I'll set my top rail and bottom rail to 1.5 inches, and that will allow me to get a decent sized panel in, for example, a 6-inch high drawer front. So that can be whatever you want it to be, but you just need to remember the wider this top rail is, the less panel you're going to have in here. So I'm just going to use 1.5 on that one. And these right here, which is our left our styles. I'm going to go 2.25 just so that they line up with the doors, and 2.25, and there it is. Okay, so let's take a look at these. Now if you notice up here, there's a new icon. If you've updated your eCabinets to eCabinet Systems 6.1.3 or 6.1.2, you'll notice that there's a new feature in here. It's called Global Constraint Manager Global Variables. Now this is a very powerful tool, and it will probably take a whole video on itself to explain how all this works. They got 50 different variables you can use, and what a variable does is it allows you to assign a value to that variable and then use that variable throughout your cabinet. Okay, so every part on this cabinet that is using, for example, the variable VO1 in its constraints is going to take on that value as long as you've got it set up here. If you guys want to see a video on that one, on how to go about doing that, let me know in the comments section below. I need to know what you guys want to see and everything. So just let me know, and I'll be more than glad to come up with some videos. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So there's everything constrained. We got door 1. Okay, this is our double panel door here, and we've got door 2. We got our constraints on it, and this one has actually got some profiles on it, and we got our drawer front. So we select this, we got our drawer right here. So all that looks good. Let's go back to main, and unless we got some errors, it should be good to go. So I want to keep the dimensions. There's our profiles on our door there. You can see the bottom profile in this one. Okay, let's try resizing this. So let's go 48 inches wide, and let's just change the height. Now when I change this height, this drawer front's going to change too, because I do not have my drawer front opening locked on here. Okay, so just bear in mind on that. So let's go 42 inches high. And you can see that resized just fine. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, you'll have to go through and do all your doors on all your cabinets in your library that you want this style door on, or this style, or both. Okay, I like to hear from you guys. I like to see what you guys want to see, and if there's any way that I can possibly get my head around how to do what you're wanting to do, I will make a video of it sooner or later. I may not jump right on it right then. I got a lot of things going on right now, but I'll try my best to help you guys out. So make sure you post your questions, your comments, or anything that you want to see in any of my videos comment section, and I'll be more than glad to help you out. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope this video helped you out. If it did, make sure you hit the thumbs up button on the screen here, and make sure you click on the subscribe button on your screen if you haven't subscribed to my channel, so you can get all my latest tips and tricks. As always, thank you for watching, and have a good day.